Thank you, Mr. Mango. Good afternoon to everyone here. I hope you're all enjoying the Sabbath day. I see we have a lot of guests here that are friends of mine, and at first I thought, how nice that they're all here to hear me speak. Then I realized we have the picnic. So that's the real reason. Don't let them tell you any different. I have a mystery. Those 4 words seem to stir up so much imagination in people's minds. That, by the way, just so happens to be the title to my sermonette, I Have a Mystery. So let me start off by explaining a little bit of this mystery. It starts off with a little bit of my family, and like many of the families here in this room. I had a mother and a father. I have brothers and sisters. There's Glenn, who was the firstborn. Then I have a sister, Jane, and I have a sister, Jackie, and I have a twin brother, Jim. And as I like to say, the best for last, me. So one day, I was at the shop talking to my brother, Glenn, and I was thinking how cool it would be to be the firstborn. After all, the firstborn gets all the firstborn blessings that the Bible states goes to the firstborn. Now, before I get too deep into the sermonette, I want to give you my SPS. And that is, it's my specific purpose statement. And what that means is what point I want to give you, the audience, to get from the sermonette. So my purpose is to get everyone here to think and to talk about this mystery. I want you to discuss it after church, during the week, and then come back tomorrow. It's Pentecost, the Feast of First Fruits, or talk to me next week, and tell me what your theories are, what your thoughts are. So now back to the mystery. So to start off, the Bible has much to say about firstborns. As a matter of fact, there are 116 scriptures that have firstborn in it. Firstborns represent the future hope of the family and name. Firstborns are put into the role of natural leaders. According to ancient tradition found in Scripture, all of the children of a family should receive an equal share of an inheritance, but the firstborn receives a double portion. Now, let's turn to a few scriptures to see and show the importance of firstborn. First one we'll go to is Deuteronomy 21, verse 15 and 17. If a man has 2 wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have both borne him sons, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son was of her that was hated, then it shall be in the day when he makes his sons to inherit what he has, he may not grant the firstborn status to the son of the beloved in preference to the son of the hated, for he is truly the firstborn. But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated as the firstborn by giving him a double portion of all that he has, for he is the beginning of his strength, and the right of the firstborn is his. Now, if we turn back to Exodus 13, we'll read 1 and 2. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Sanctify all the firstborn to me. Whatever opens the womb among the children of Israel, of a man or of beast, it is mine. Now, if we go back to Exodus 34, 19 and 20, it states, All that opens the womb is mine, all firstlings of male livestock, of oxen, of sheep. But the firstling of a donkey you shall redeem with the lamb, and if you do not redeem it, you shall break its neck. All of the firstborn of your sons you shall redeem, and none shall appear before me empty. And then let's go to Numbers again. Numbers 3 and verses 12 and 13. Again, it says, And I, Behold, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel, instead of from the firstborn that opened the womb among the children of Israel. Therefore, the Levites shall be mine. Because all of the firstborn are mine, on that day I struck all the firstborn in the land of Egypt. I set apart to myself all the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast. They shall be mine. I am the Lord. And then if we go to verse 41, I am the Lord. You shall take the Levites for me in the place of all the firstborn among the children of Israel, and the domestic livestock of the Levites instead of all of the firstlings among the livestock of the children of Israel. So as you can see in just these couple of verses, the firstborn is very important to God. And firstborns have a meaning to God. Being a firstborn is a very good thing, unless you were Egyptian on the first Passover. Then it wasn't so good. So now, here's the mystery. We see how important it is to be firstborn, but when we go through the Bible and see the families in the Bible, what do we find? Well, we'll start with Adam and Eve. They had Cain and Abel. Cain became jealous of Abel, and he killed him. God didn't work through Cain, but then worked through Seth, another son of Adam and Eve. If we go down the row, the next is Noah. Now we know Noah had brothers and sisters, and I can't prove or disprove that he was firstborn. But going down, Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And it would seem that Shem was the firstborn, but there are reasons in scriptures to believe that he is mentioned first, not because he was firstborn, but because of the importance of his line of descendants. Now, one of his descendants was Abraham. Abraham also had 2 brothers, and again, I'm not sure if he was firstborn or not, but from the way everything else is falling, I don't think he was. Now, we know Abraham's firstborn to him was Ishmael, but God said it would be the firstborn of Abraham and Sarah that God would work through, and that was Isaac. Now, Isaac had 2 sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, and Jacob received the firstborn's blessing. Now, Jacob's firstborn was Reuben, again, but it was Joseph that God would work through. Joseph, he also had 2 sons that I mentioned, Manasseh first, Ephraim second. But when Jacob blessed them, and Jacob blessed them because he had adopted them as his own sons, he switched his hands and put his right hand on Ephraim the younger and his left hand on the firstborn Manasseh. Let's go down a little bit further. Jesse. Jesse had 8 sons. The last son was David. And although David was not the firstborn, it was David that God would work through. David's firstborn, Ammon, would not rule after him. It was Solomon that would become king after David. Solomon was not David's firstborn. He was not even David and Bathsheba's firstborn. That child had died because of the sin that David committed with Bathsheba. We can go down through the kingdoms and the split of the tribes of Israel, but the results seem to be the same. It's not until Christ comes along that we actually have a firstborn that is worthy of the firstborn blessings. So the mystery is, why didn't the families of the Bible have any of the noble firstborns who would reap the blessings? Why was it important to have so many scriptures as examples of the importance of firstborn, and then show time after time throughout the big name families that it's not the firstborn that God ended up working with? Now, I have a few theories myself of the meaning of this. One thought is the firstborn or first fruits. It is that of a spiritual firstborn, not a physical firstborn. Christ was and is both physical and spiritual firstborn. And for us, here and now, Mr. Thomas had brought up a point in a sermon a month or so ago, and he mentioned about adoption. We are spiritually adopted children of God, and as so, being adopted, we receive the inheritance of a firstborn, a double portion. Being adopted means we are firstborn by the choice of the Father, not by natural birth. So as I stated in my SPS earlier, my purpose is to get everyone to talk, to communicate, and to think about God's words today, tomorrow, next week. So think about the firstborns and some of the things I spoke about, and let me know what your thoughts are. I'll be interested in hearing what you have to say. Have a wonderful Sabbath.